Right, welcome to a little bit of the old statistics. So let's, of course, make it maths as we. Yeah, it's been too long, right? Say that every time when you shake your head. Okay, so what you're looking at here is one example, and the next video I'll do a second example, and there's some exercise in between. So take a pause just to read through the idea here that we've got a scatter plot. Well, we're going to actually make the scatter plot of a publishing company selling a certain number of books every single month. So we've got two variables. We've got the number of months, and we're going to kind of put that on the x-axis, and the number of books sold we're going to put on the y-axis. Okay, so let's just start by plotting each of these points here. So number of months 1, number of books sold is 10. So at 1 we're going to put a dot there for 10. Okay, so fill that in for the rest, and while you're doing it you don't have to pause because I'll just kind of do it here. 2 is 22. Notice I'm not getting it perfectly accurate, but it's close enough. 4, 38, about there. 5 is 46, so I think it's about there. 6 is 50, so where's that? Must be about there, right? Give or take. 7, 48, a little bit below. 8, 62. Doom, there we are. 9, 61. So what? A little bit below there. About there. 10. Ooh, what happened there? 10, 74. So 74 is up there, give or take. 11, 88. And 12 is there, and we're at 86, so a little bit below. Okay, so if you look at all of those points up there, hopefully it just looks like there's kind of a trend going on. So this is kind of the point of this section, is these trend lines or regression lines. And so that's what we're going to do next, is we want to see if we were to draw a line and say, well, let's take some sort of line and go, well, like there's a line that sort of describes those points fairly well. That's what we're going to do now. So determine the equation of the line of the best fit for this data. So for this, what you're going to need is your calculator. There is mine. Whoa, that's a big calculator. Let's just go there and maybe put it up there. How does that sound? But okay. So on our calculator, we need to make sure that we go into stats mode. So we go mode, stat, and before we used 1 minus var, and this time we're going to use a plus bx, so number 2. So you can see this xy, so we can input those x and y values. So 1, 2, 3, 4, dum, dum. Need some background music for this or something. It's coming. We're not quite set up for that again. 11, 12. Okay, and then on the y side, well, we've got all of those y values. 10, 22, 20, 38. Hopefully I've not input one of these incorrectly. 50, 48. Number 8 is 62, 61, 74, 88, and we finish off with 86 equals, and we press AC. So that's similar to what we've used our calculators for before. And now what we're looking for is we're going to create this equation for this straight line. And our equations like y equals mx plus c, but we'll just do it the other way around, the y-intercept plus bx, and we read that as y hat. So let's see what that is in our calculator. So stat we used before was above the 1, so shift 1. Now this time we're using 5 reg for regression, so 5, and they're all the things we want. So there's a, there's b, x, and y we're going to get to in a second for these here. Notice that they look a little bit different on the calculator. So here's our A value. So we just look for A. 1 equals 5, 6. So our equation is y equals 5, 6, 6, 6, 7 plus bx. So plus b times x, and our b value, well, let's go for it. Shift 1, 5 for regression. B, we'll just go for 2. 6,88461. 6, let's see, 6,8846, etc. So I have many decimal places, but normally we use quite a few. So there's our equation. So we just need to plot that equation on the scatter plot. Well, that feels like, where do we start? Well, remember that this here is our kind of our y-intercept. So 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3. It's about there somewhere, right? And plus this, well, our graph always goes through the mean point. So the mean point is the mean x value and the mean y value. Now, we could add all these up. 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5 plus 6 plus 7 plus 8 plus 9 plus 10 plus 11 plus 12 and divide by 12. 10 plus 22 plus 20 plus 38, blah, blah, blah. But of course, the calculator's got this for us. Shift 1. Well, if we look for 5, we can see here's x and y. So 4. Ooh, whoopsie. That one wasn't right. Shift 1. Was it the variables I wanted? There we go. The variables, sorry. So 4. So x here is number 2. So 6.5. So in other words, this is 6.5, which means that this graph is going to go through the point 6.5 as an x value. And our y value, go back here and we can check out shift 1. We're going to see these var, these variables. And we're going to see y bar, so 5 here. And our kind of y mean value is 50, 42. I'm just going to go 50. Let's just go. Then go, so 6.5 and 50. 6.5 and 50 is around about there. As I said, we haven't got this that well. So this here was our y-intercept, which is our a value. So that was a. And this point here was our mean x value and our mean y value. And then out comes your ruler, and you can draw a straight line going through there, and you've got your straight line, and there's kind of your line of best fit. So that kind of describes the number of books, and in fact, let's just extend this line out nicely so we can do that. Okay, so what have we done here? What is the point of this? Well, now we can see how many books we think would have been sold in a particular month or days. So let's look at what our questions were. And our question here asked, here, let's change out, let's go to green, right now, C. Use the line of best fit to estimate the number of books that sold in the 11th month. So the 11th month, what we could do is look up at 11 and go, well, according to our graph, 11 there corresponds with, I don't know, 81, 82, somewhere over there, I'm not quite sure. So that doesn't feel like a very reliable way of getting your ruler out and going along. So why don't we use this equation? So if we use this equation, y hat equals 5, 6, 6, 6, 7, how many decimal places we said we wanted, plus 6, 8, 8, 4, 6, x. But what was our x value? What are we inputting? Well, we're just inputting 11. So put that in, equals. Let's put in the calculator. But let's also be clever here and go shift. Here we've got the value of a. So instead of writing it out again, why don't we just go a plus and then shift stat 5 b times 11. So you can see we're going a plus b 11. So we're just inputting 11 into the equation we've got. Equals 81,39. Well, this represents number of books. So I think 81 books. I'm going to change this and say, not quite sure this is so equal. So I'm going to say sort of equal to 81 books. So in other words, according to our line, this at 11 months is 81 books. So you can see it doesn't match that data point exactly because there were actually 86 books sold, but according to our line, it's 81. So remember, it's not perfectly accurate. Okay, and then if we go along and go, well, let's do the same thing, but now the next question asks us, use the line of best fit to estimate in the 13th month. Now, we don't actually have this data. So when you're looking inside the data set, then it's called interpolation. And if we're looking outside of the data set, then we call that extrapolation. So we're using this to guess what would happen. Not guess, like we're using a fairly good way to go. At 13, how many books do you think we would have sold in the 13th month if everything continues in the same fashion? Now, think in the back of your mind what could go wrong with this thinking. But with 13, here we just go y hat equals 5, 6, blah, 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 plus 6, 8, blah, 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 13 equals, and I say blah, blah, blah because, well, in our calculator, let me move out of the way here, we're just going shift stat regression a plus shift stat regression b times 13 equals 95,1 blah blah blah. So that's approximately, let's change that maybe to, that's kind of approximately 95 books. So in the 13th month we're going to sell 95 books if this trend continues. Now, slightly dangerous, right? Not dangerous, but we're assuming that things are going to carry on in the same way that they did before. But hey, this bookshop had a growth spurt. Why is it just going to keep going? I mean, if we carried on like this and said, well, how many books is it going to sell in the 100th month? Well, according to this, it's going to sell 694 books in that. But that's assuming that it continues going up and up and up and up and up. But hey, there's every reason to say that this carried on the first year and then it kind of flattened out after that. So obviously we just need to think when we extrapolate, maybe we need to just think about this. Whereas in between the data points, well, it's a good guess of in the 5.5 month or something, how many books, that kind of matches. But this assumes that it's going to carry on increasing by the same rate all the time, which perhaps it won't. So exercises for you to do, a few examples there, and next video will be on correlation. So you know what you need to do. You need to make it